Hey guys, welcome back to episode 1 of the Franchise Tagged podcast. This is the week 1 episode. Last episode was episode 0. It was our pilot, a little introduction thing. Very sorry about the audio issues with that. I didn't realize it was going to be that bad until after we had finished recording and I had started editing it. And we had already dumped an hour and a half of time into recording it and did not feel like re-recording it just to get the audio levels balanced. So you had to deal with it for that one, but hopefully that won't be the case for this one. We've done a couple test recordings since then, and it should be all worked out. First on the docket today is going to be going into the season-wide record predictions, or season-long, uh, and we're going to be just going alphabetical, starting with the NFC, then going to the AFC.
Starting off, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and I do want to mention before we actually start naming some of these, holy shit, did doing this so long. We had to chart out every single NFL game that's going to be played. We then went through and during preseason picked every winner that we thought might win in every single matchup of the league. Then went through and counted the win totals for every individual team. So that was a lot of effort. And all that said, the effort for me, given the Cardinals a 2-15 record, was not very high.
Oh my God, man, we agree. That's crazy. I also have them going 2 and
Perfect.
15. I'm curious, what
Perfect.
two games do you have them winning? I just want to run through that. I'll have to find them, but
I had the Cardinals winning Week 7 against the Seahawks as an absolute
okay, yeah,
upset.
we do not agree on that one then.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, I could definitely so any divisional matchup, I could see that being an upset. Like any divisional matchup at all, it's always different. It's never like best team wins. It's just we hate these guys, so whoever
Bloodbath.
has more
Yeah.
hatred is gonna win. Um,
My other was also an upset, I believe. Also, a division rival, the Rams in Week 12.
okay, I also had Rams in Week 12. I have them winning that one as well. And then I had them actually
Nice.
beating the Texans in Houston for Week 11. So I had them going on a two-game win streak just randomly and not winning
Ooh.
any other games. And I think initially I
Listen,
had them winning 5 games, and then I looked at that and I was like,
too
that
high.
seems very inaccurate. Uh, we won't spend that long on any of the other teams. I was just curious. For the Falcons, I'm not super high on them. I've got them going 6 and 11.
All right, so I've got them going 8 and 9. Uh, I'm a little bit more high on them, and they're also in a very weak division, so they managed to get a decent amount of wins accrued just through the division match. Next up, also the NFC South here. We had the Panthers. I had them going 7 and 10, having just one less win than the Falcons.
I had them going 6 and 11 as well, tying the Falcons. I saw, or last year, the entire NFC South was tied for a period of time where they all just kind of sucked. And I kind of have that
Yes.
going again. I think Bryce Young is going to have some growing pains, but I think he's in a decent situation with some decent receivers. But I don't think they're going anywhere this year.
Yep. Next up is the Bears. The Bears, I'm going 10 and 7.
I had them going 12 and 5.
All right. See, that's interesting. I had to work them down a little bit, do through a lot of like doing other teams. I'm like, oh, this team should be losing this much. Who are they losing to? And then I'm like, the Bears. I'll give them one up over the Bears, but
My
10 and
issue
7 is my record for them.
my issue with the Bears is I don't think they're going to be a mid team. I think they're either going to be extremely good and they're going to win a lot of games, or they're going to be bad and they're going to lose a lot of games. And I don't think there's an in between.
All right, pick us off with this next team.
Yeah, I don't like the Cowboys. It's no secret. I had them going 7 and 10.
Ooh, sheesh. Okay, see, I had them going 11 and 6.
Damn.
And in my notes about them going 11 and 6, which granted I wrote the note prior to them being 11 and 6, they got a couple wins up, but I was like, I don't like the Cowboys, so fuck them. Here's their record. I don't think they're gonna win that much, but they ended up winning 11.
We'll go to the Detroit Lions next. I actually want to kick this one off. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've got them going 12 and
All right,
5, same as the Bears.
two 12 and 5s. Okay, see, I had them going 13 and 4 at one point. I worked them down to 11 and 6. Um, and 11 and 6 ties the Dallas Cowboys, and there's one more win than the Bears.
Packers next up, I've got going 5 and 12. I am not super high on Jordan Love. I am not super high on their entire roster, really. I think Aaron Jones is decent when you have a passing threat, but I don't know what he's going to be when that threat isn't as big as Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Which obviously, I mean, we saw Rodgers without Devontae last year, but it was still Aaron Rodgers, and you were still worried about him passing the ball. So now we're going to have to see an inexperienced Jordan Love who hasn't started an NFL game in a very long time, with some inexperienced receivers in Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, and whoever else they have. So I'm not super high on them.
Yeah, me neither. I had them just getting one more win over than what you had. I have them at 6-11. Basically, I don't have disbelief in Jordan Love. I just have a disbelief in the offensive system without Aaron Rodgers. So that's where I sat with them. Next up was the Rams. I had them going 8-9.
Okay, yeah, you're a lot higher on the Rams than I am. We saw that last episode with the stock market, where you picked up a share of the Rams stock.
Mm-hmm.
I had them going 5-12, same as the Packers.
I I could see that, and I could see them making double digit wins. I kind of went 8-9, just kind of looking at the matchup. They're in a tough division, and they're gonna really need to hit like back form and have a lot of good rookie production.
On to the Vikings next. I think they won the North last year, right? They were like 13 and
Yes,
4. I have them
yes.
going 8-9. I still think they're going to be good. I think Kirk is good. I think Jettis is good. I think Jordan Addison's a nice addition. But I mean, I don't know. I'm so unconfident in this team when they lose Dalvin Cook, even if he wasn't great last year. I just have no expectations for them, I suppose.
So it's interesting that hinges on Dalvin Cook. Obviously, the weak point of their team last year was their defense, and that's my weak point this year as well. I had them going 9-8, just one more win over them in your ranking there. But not to harp on them too long. Going to move forward to the New Orleans Saints, who I had been speaking highly of with the Derek Carr. So I want to hear your prediction on their record first.
Yeah, I didn't think Derek Carr would affect him that much. Looking back on it, am a little bit harsh with him, but I'm still gonna stick with it. I have him going 6-11, and I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think 6-11 is like just, oh my god, how could you say that about this team? It's not like saying the Chiefs are gonna go like 10-7 or something like that. That's not what I'm doing. So
Yep. So I had them going 7-10. I really like it. I really like the addition of Derek Carr. And I was like, I'm gonna be so hyped when I'm going through and I'm like picking the Saints so much. And then I go through and I'm like picking the Saints and I'm like, I feel like I'm not picking them enough. Next up was the New York Giants. I am going 9-8. So
okay,
they are just under the Cowboys by 2 wins in that division.
this Giants prediction is not correct. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that right now. I did not think about what this team was before before I went to grade. I was just imagining like your classic, oh, the Giants are trash. Um,
2 years ago, Giants,
yeah, yeah,
Danny
yeah,
Dimes can't do shit.
yeah. So I had them going 5-12.
Hey, it could be right.
But
I don't know, man.
we'll see.
It's
We'll see.
crazy.
Yeah, we'll move to the division rival of said Giants with the Eagles. I had them winning the NFC, going 13-4. They didn't really get any weaker, and I don't see any NFC team that got noticeably stronger to the point where they're going to contend with the Eagles. I just don't. I think maybe in a year or two, some of the teams that are building up right now that are getting to that point will be there. But I think right now it's pretty set on the Eagles being a really good team.
Yeah, so I had gone through every team just so I'd done them all, every team, every game weeks ago. And then last night I went through and I was like, I'm gonna just pick some outliers, go week to week, see if there's anything that I like outwardly disagree with now, kind of see. And the Eagles lost a couple of wins for me in that regard, but they are 11-6, and they are tied with the Cowboys for the top of the division because obviously there's no final scores to figure out who's going to be the actual division winner. But I had them going 11-6. I ended up taking a lot of wins off of like top teams when I went through that. So yeah, they sit at 11-6. They're still really good. They're not losing any pieces that are going to be a much pain. I mean, CJ Gardner Johnson is really the only name I can think of. So moving forward, the San Francisco 49ers, another top team in the NFC last season. I also had going 11-6.
I had them at 12-5. I like Brock Purdy. I like the 49ers. I like the team they've built, and I think Brock Purdy fits it a lot better than Trey Lance did. I've said it privately to Elijah. I don't know if I've ever said it on camera, but I think that the 49ers offense favors a field general that just gets the ball to where it needs to be, not a creator that is going to extend plays and, try to get his own, you know. Which, who knows, we didn't see Trey Lance for long enough to know if that's what he would have done, but I I just like the idea of somebody sitting in the pocket being willing to just pass the ball short and let Debo take it, or dump it off to CMC and not be the hero. They need somebody on that team to not be a hero and just be a player. And I think Brock Purdy's perfect for that. So I really like how he fits in that system. I am high on the Seahawks, very high on them. I had them going 11-6, which is I took them down from like I was going through and I was like, huh, okay, so through 14 weeks the Seahawks are undefeated. Probably gonna have to change that, and so I did. But I do like them. I like Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I have no opinion on, but backup running back's always good to have. Gino was really good last year, and I think he's going to do the same here with another receiver added to that core of DK, Tyler Lockett, and then now JSN, and then Noah Fant is a capable tight end. So
Yeah, I see them taking a minor step forward offensively, but a major step forward defensively, just as all those young players that they had last season are getting better and having extra years under their belt. And then the addition of Devin Witherspoon through the draft. Seahawks drafted really well in the first round this past year, just with JSN and Devin Witherspoon right off the board. Like perfect positions to draft them at too. I had them at 12-5, so just another win over yours.
okay, I
And
would.
I believe, not to do any spoilers, but 12-5 is the number one seed in
Damn.
my NFC.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how much we're spoiling with the Bucks and Commanders left, but I had the
That was my
Bucks.
point.
I had the Bucks going 3-14. I'm really, really not high on them. I don't think they have much talent anywhere except for the receiving room. But when you don't have a talented quarterback that can get the ball to the receiving room, then you're kind of in a bit of a hole. And I think that's exactly where they are and where they'll fall.
Yep. I had them at 3-13 and one because I had to throw a tie in there somewhere in this whole bracket. And it's going to be fun when you find out who the other person they tied with is. But
Uh,
yeah, basically everything you said. And then Mike Evans is reportedly trying to get out of there. So lastly, the Commanders topping this thing out. I got 6-11. I do believe in them, but they're in a very strong division, and they're having a quarterback go in that is not proven. And I do think he'll do good, but they have to do really good to compete with the Cowboys, Eagles, and it's
so yeah, I've got them going 9-8. I like them a lot, and I think that if Chase Young can get back to rookie season form and get back to pressuring the quarterback, that D line is going to look really scary for any opposing teams. And I think that the other teams in the division favor the run. And so if you've got a really strong D line that's going to be able to stop the run, I don't think you're as bad as like, you would be if you had a really good secondary, but your D line was trash. I think you'd be in a worse situation than the Commanders are. Starting off the AFC, we'll go with the Tennessee Titans. I had them going 7-10. I think Derrick Henry still has something left in the tank, even if he is going to turn 30 in January. Uh, I think that his dominance over that division is just something that needs to be studied, and that's going to propel them to at least a couple wins.
yeah, exactly the same. I said that Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry are going to be the reason why they win as many games as they win, and I also had them going 7-10.
Cool.
So I'm glad we also start off the AFC agreeing on something.
Moving to the Steelers, I had them going 10-7, inverse of the Titans.
I had them going 8-9. It's just 2 games less, but it looks a lot worse as soon as they drop the double-digit wins. Uh, really, I just have no real faith in the offensive scheme that they've got, and I want them to finally have a losing season, so
I
that
was
way he might get his ducks in a row and ship out the fucking OC.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season as an NFL head coach, and I don't think he's starting here. If he didn't lose last year, I don't think he's gonna do it this year. I'll be honest. I think this team just got better. Uh, Jets are
Ooh,
up next. I'm low on the Jets compared
I
to.
was low on the Jets, and then I was like, okay, some of these teams I have them playing too high on. So then I gave the wins to the Jets when I was like, okay, the Jets need to get some wins to have some hype. prior to doing that, I had them missing playoffs.
I
After
have them
doing
missing
that,
playoffs.
after doing that, they are 10-7.
I've got them at 7-10.
That's probably about where I was before I went and added them 3 wins from, you know, games I think would be tight. I just gave them the edge. So the Patriots are in an absolute bloodbath of a division. They're really going to need to like figure it out quick if they're going to want to compete in this like division in this year. And I don't necessarily have the faith in them to figure it out quick. I think that Mac Jones is going to be doing better, and but doing better doesn't mean like they're going to be top over Jets or Dolphins or Bills. Who Dolphins Bills I really like a lot. So I had them going 7-10.
I had the Patriots going 9-8. Obviously, getting rid of Matt Patricia is the best thing they could have ever done. So uh, that's a big help. And then another team in their division, onto the Dolphins. I had them going 13-4. I like the Legion of Zoom. If Tua can stay healthy with an improved offensive line, I think that they'll be great. And I think that it all just hinges on Tua staying healthy because after Tua's gone, if he is, I don't know if they have the same team.
Yep. So we're both equally high on the Dolphins. I don't have them having 13 wins. I have
Oh,
them going 11-6.
that seems to be your high
And
end, where 13 is my higher end.
yeah, that tended to be my high end through my regrading was like, okay, I had some 13s, some 14s, and that's really hard to do in an NFL season. So when I really like a team, I really like them. They got a lot better. They're going to be a lot better when Jalen Ramsey comes in, and they just fully come as a Voltron. They just come together and they're a super weapon. But yeah, it's 11-6 is my high end, so 11-6 is a pretty damn good record for them to get from me. Moving on to the Chargers, I had them going just ripping the band-aid off. They were at 10-7. I just don't like Brandon Staley enough as play caller, even with the new offensive coordinator coming in.
Yeah, the new offensive coordinator coming in is why I had them going 12-5. I think also Quentin Johnston is going to be a really nice addition to the wide receiver room. If Keenan and Mike can't stay healthy for another season, they're at least going to have a better third and fourth option to fall back on instead of it being Josh Palmer and then basically nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But off the Chargers onto the Raiders, the other or another part of that division, I had them going 3-14.
Damn. Okay. I don't have them that down pat, like down bad rather. Why do you have them down bad?
Somebody in the AFC had to do it, and that's the most likely team. They're in the toughest division by far. They're definitely the worst team in that division, just because I don't think Jimmy G is that elite of a quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
and their only receiving threat now is Devontae Adams. And once you take him away, what are they going to do? They're going to give it Josh Jacobs behind a mediocre offensive line, and when you key in on Josh Jacobs and double team Devontae Adams, they don't have a team. So I knew that a team from each division would need to be the worst. I just didn't know which one it would be, which is kind of why I wanted to go through this and do all of this. And in the end, it turned out that I had the Raiders being bad, but I just don't really like them against any teams.
Yeah, I had the Raiders going on a little bit of an upset streak from week 5 to week 7. I had them beating the Packers, I had them beating the Patriots, and I had them beating the Bears. And that was really that little stretch of time is the only reason why they managed to hit 6-11. I'm not high on them either. I also don't like Jimmy G. I honestly think there's a chance that Aiden O'Connell sees the field before week 12.
Third part of this division, we got the Chiefs. I have them going 14-3 and not winning the AFC.
Wow. Okay, first off, wow. Um, I have them tying the record of the Dolphins. You know, the thus far best record in the AFC that I've and 11-6. They're good. They have young players that are still kind of developing on that defense, so we're going to be looking for them to make a step up. And I mean, who knows? They might not be with Chris Jones. To be honest, I wouldn't be that worried because they managed to always figure things out with changing of the theme and the personnel. as long as the personnel includes Travis Kelsey and um, Patrick Mahomes, we're going to be seeing very production from the team as long as Andy Reid's there as well. So I had them at 11-6 again, top end of the AFC for me.
You take Jags.
Okay, I was gonna say I was wondering if you wanted to open them up, how high
Nah.
you are. So the Jaguars. Uh, this is the team that is gonna go 15-2 for Gabe. I just know it. The
Damn, how the
Jaguars
fuck did you guess that, dude?
because you okay. First
Oh
off,
yeah, I guess nobody
they're
else
not
is
winning.
good. Yeah.
They're not gonna win over the Chiefs, and they're right next to them. I know how high you are. I know how much you love Calvin Ridley and
It's
Trevor.
not
It's
just
a
them though.
no
I'll
brainer.
I'll get into it when I talk about them, but it's not just those two.
Yeah. So I think that they're up and comers, and prior to any, I did my first pass of them before I did any other teams. I did my one pass. They were 13-4, and I did my passes when I'm doing other teams and figuring out their records. I was like, I have to find a realistic middle ground for them, and that is going to be 10-7. They're going to
Wow.
improve on their record from last year, but they face tough games. They play the Chiefs. They play hard teams, and while they do have a somewhat mediocre uh, division to beat up on, I also am not as low on some of their division rivals as others would be, and so I have them going 10-7, simply losing some of those matchups against the tougher teams and losing some of the um, divisional games there.
Yeah. So, in case you didn't know, I have them going 15-2. I think Trevor Lawrence is amazing. I think he's going to be, a very, very good quarterback. I think he's going to be top 5 this year. I definitely don't think they're actually going to go 15-2, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
that makes
find games that they genuinely like I could see them losing easily. Like there were no games where I was like, "Oh, they'll probably lose this one." They were all games where I'm like, "Okay, this is a top team in the NFL that they're playing, but I think they're also going to be a top team in the NFL, so it's really a toss up." And when I really look at the depth charts and stuff, I like the Jaguars. So I'm going to take them over some of the other teams. And maybe if I had gone back through, I would have gotten them down to like 12-5 or something like that. But I don't even think I would have gone that low.
yeah.
And I,
I
I
think
wanted I wanted to get to a point where the Chiefs were not the number one team in the AFC because
mhm.
I think that they are the best team in the league, but I don't think they're going to be the best team in the regular season, if that makes sense.
To move forward into the division rival of that team, the Colts. I like Anthony Richardson. I like all of the changes they've made post Matt Rule. And while they're not going to be getting it together immediately, and this ranking is prior to any JT drama at all, when I went through to change like the outliers, I didn't like really care if the Colts went as I have them right now, 7-10 or 5-12. I didn't really care. I wanted to see more realistic numbers as the playoff teams and the bottom of the barrels. Less so, I'm gonna clean up the middle grounds. So I had them going 7-10.
I'm going 8-9. I like Anthony Richardson. It's no secret. I watched a lot of his college film, and I see a lot of people criticizing his college film, and I'm like, I just don't understand it. Like maybe I don't know what to look for in college film, but I watched every single play of his from like 7 of his games, which was a majority of his college career, and he looked great. Like I could not tell you how many times the receivers
So
dropped the
athletic.
ball in college. It was pathetic. It was a sorry excuse for a receiving core that he was working with. And I cannot tell you enough how terrible those receivers looked.
It's gonna be so funny when we hit the team that is effectively your how you graded the Raiders. It's gonna be real funny when we hit that player that team for me. Uh,
It's gonna be the Browns,
next
guys.
up,
It's gonna be the Browns.
next up is the Houston Texans. I have them going 6-11. It's obviously they're like basically year one of a rebuild, and they're gonna figure some stuff out, but they're gonna get some wins over the Colts. They're gonna get some wins over the Titans. It's gonna be a bloodbath. Jaguars are in their own league in this division, but bloodbath between the other three, going 6-11 for the Texans behind a very poor O line.
I'm gonna say their record, and we're gonna move to the Broncos and not question anything at all. I've got them going 2-15. Next up, the Broncos. I have them going 8-9. I think that there will be a step up from Russ. I don't think it's going to be a huge step up. And I think if they do make the playoffs, again, I haven't been tracking who I have in the playoffs and who I don't. But if they do, they're not going to be in there for long. I don't think they have the capability of success for long term. But I think in the regular season, I could definitely see them pulling 8 wins.
Yep, so I'm going 7-10 just to win under you. Uh, Basically everything you said. I don't see them like making playoffs this season. I do see them building on the shit show that was last year, and then kind of having the potential to make it next season if they manage to hit less than 10. The season after that, they might be able to make playoffs. And go ahead and open us up.
This is going to be Elijah's bad team, everybody. It is the Cleveland Browns. I have them going 5-12 because I don't like Deshaun Watson. I think if I think
Yes.
if DTR starts, they're going 7-10. If Deshaun Watson is there the whole year, 5-12.
Yeah, personally, I just dislike Kevin Stefanski for some reason, and even more so Deshaun Watson. So I'm being petty. I want to keep them poverty. I want them to have Deshaun Watson trade be the worst.
Breaking: Elijah is putting the Browns at 0-17.
4-13. All right, they still
Close
have Nick
enough.
Chubb
Close enough.
and Miles Garrett, but yeah, 4-12. They're my bottom of the barrel. They were the ones I chose to eat muck.
On to the Bengals. I like the Bengals. I have them tying the Chiefs at 14-3. I think they're going to be extremely good this year in a division that is also very good. I just think they're better.
Here's the top seed of the league,
There we go.
12-5.
All right.
So just one win above Chiefs, 12-5. Um, I wasn't so sure when I went through and I was typing my notes on these. I was like, oh, Burrow just got hurt, but I'm not going to change it. I'm hoping he's healthy. And luckily, it seems to be trending that he will be playing in the Sunday week 1. But this team is built for the Super Bowl. They have the defense, they have the offense, they are primed to go. So I think number 1 seed, first round bye is basically a no brainer.
I actually like that we don't have the Chiefs going first seed. I think it will happen. I just think it's inevitable that it's going to happen and the Chiefs are going to be the 1 seed, but I like that we don't have it predicted because that would be
Yeah, we
just a
have to
gimme.
have some uncertainty. Yeah.
Yeah. Bills.
Next up,
I know you're
take it.
not a big fan of Josh Allen on the Bills from a personal level, but from a team standpoint, I think they're really good. I have them going 11-6.
Wow. So, despite all my hate, I still managed to have them lose 6 games, but they only win 10, and that's because they tie the Buccaneers.
Oh my God. Okay.
In the upset of the century, they tie the Buccaneers. Yeah, I
And
have them losing a handful of upsets, but I still like the end record of 10 wins for them.
yeah, on to the Ravens, last team in the league. I've got them going 12-5. I think that the team has done nothing but improve, and I think they're very good. And I love watching Lamar Jackson run around in the pocket.
Yep, 11-6, matching the not the Bengals, but the Chiefs. The Bengals, of course, have the 1 win and they win the division there. So while I'm on that note, I also love the Ravens, but chance of injury is always there for their team at any position. So,
All right.
and I just want to mention through everything, we agreed on the Titans going 7-10 and the Cardinals going 2-15, and that was it.
Awesome. So next up, we're going to look at the awards races and who we have winning those awards. The ones we're predicting are going to be MVP, but not Mahomes, offensive player, defensive player, offensive rookie, defensive rookie, and that's all I've got.
I have a head coach, but I'll
Okay,
just
I
tack
figured
that
you
on at
did.
the
I
end.
just don't know the coaches like that. Like I'll put Bill Belichick because he's great. Like that's my head coach knowledge.
Nice.
I'm kidding, by the way. I know a couple more head coaches. I just don't know who's
It's like
really good and
we
who's
need to
just on a good
recreate the
team.
segment the Kelsey podcast had where
Yeah,
they made
name
Travis
the head
name the fucking
coaches.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do that for you.
Okay, I'll do
All right.
better than Travis because I haven't gotten any concussions. All right, starting us off. Do you want to start with the rookie predictions or do you want to start with MVP? Just get the big boy out of the way.
Actually, now that I didn't have it ordered that way, but I say let's start with the rookie
Start with the
predictions.
rookies. Okay, I didn't have it ordered that way either. I had MVP first because that's the one I wanted to
Nice.
predict first, but I figured it'll be a little nicer. So for each of these, I've got 3 guys except MVP, where I've got 4. And again, that MVP award is MVP, but not Mahomes, because saying Mahomes is going to win MVP is like saying,
Or
Max Verstappen is going to win the F1 race. It's going to happen. Um, to start things off with offensive rookie, I got three guys, probably going to be pretty similar to your three. We're starting off with Bijan. I really like his situation on a team that favors the run, and he's a very talented running back. And I don't like the situation of nearly as many other offensive rookies. And then I don't think an offensive lineman's going to win the award. So I think Bijan's probably my favorite, even though that's the easy answer. Obviously, everybody's favorite is Bijan. So next up, I got JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. He is playing week one. He's active. There was some concerns about that, but he is going to be active for week one. And I think that throwing him into an offense where he's going to be the third option, and a lot of teams are going to be focused on containing DK Metcalf and then stopping the deep ball to Tyler Lockett. JSN's going to fit in really nicely in the slot, which is where he will excel. And then he's just going to be open over the middle because they're going to be doubling DK and playing guys over the top for Tyler Lockett, and Gino will just find JSN. And then last up, I had Jordan Addison. Another good situation where it's a team who is a good passing offense with a dominant wide receiver one that will probably get doubled on a lot of snaps, leaving room for another receiver to get open.
oh, ironically, we do not match up on most of these. My offensive rookie of the year, my number one pick. I didn't choose multiple. I just kind of went like my pick, and here are their competitors. Offensive rookie of the year, my pick is Bryce Young. It's not a popular pick. They play the fourth easiest schedule upcoming. They're not a good team, so they're not going to actually have the wins to back that up like I had in the my pick'ems, but they are going to have some stats from it, and that's why I have Bryce Young. My second is obviously Bijan. They have an even easier schedule. They run the ball. It's Bijan. Like we've talked about this situation enough. And my third is actually Anthony Richardson, because as my predictions had, he don't lose a terrible amount of games. They don't win a terrible amount, but they do have a very athletic running quarterback who I think could break off some big runs and end himself up with an award from it.
I'm just going to jump in here real quick. My only issue with taking a quarterback for offensive rookie is wins are so often attributed to quarterbacks that unless they're playing phenomenally, they're not going to get the award. Like, unless they're playing absolutely lights out, like Aaron Rodgers 2020 lights out. Like, just,
Herbert rookie year.
yeah, like, unless they're doing that, they're not going to get the nod, because a running back can put up 2,000 yards in a season, and if the team loses 12 games, oh well, it's the rest of the
No,
team's fault.
no,
But if
fair
the
enough.
quarterback puts up 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks, it's damn, he threw 10 picks. That's kind of, that's why they lost those 12. It's not a winnable situation when you don't have a great team around you. And
I see
maybe I'm
that.
wrong, but that's just how I see it.
I'm gonna move it to the defensive rookie. I'm gonna start them off. I had to give some Lions favoritism somewhere along this way, and I do have them winning as many games as I do. And a certain player is joining the last ranked fucking defense, and that player is gonna be Brian Branch
Yep, there
because
it is.
Hart. Uh, he's he's a safety. He's not gonna actually win the award. But man, if my heart doesn't want it to happen, um, if you want logic, the next picks are the next down the line is going to be Ware Anderson Jr. It's going to be Tyree Wilson, maybe if he ends up being healthy. I've seen hit and miss kind of articles on that, but I had Brian Branch being a movable chess piece for the Lions, playing like nickel, full corner, full safety, anywhere they need him. And he's going to improve a team that was last in yards and third in points allowed. And I think that will validate the pick, but of course, it's only going to go to a lockdown man-to-man corner, which is who I predict your pick is.
Yeah, so my number one pick as a diehard Patriots fan who has never watched a game of the
Very
Patriots in my life. I'm just kidding. I've watched a couple games. They're all right. I have Christian Gonzalez. I think that the Patriots have a system that favors cornerbacks. I've talked about it so many times before, that they made Jack Jones look really good. They made J.C. Jackson look really good. They made all of these, like, if you really think about it, mediocre quarterbacks look like they're all stars. And, throw Jalen Mills, who is good but not great, in the mix of now he looks great on the Patriots. And Jonathan Jones, he's good, not great, but he looks great. And if you take a corner like Christian Gonzalez, who fell because of some concerns about his desires to actually play football and like his drive and whatever, and you put him on a team like the Patriots where they're gonna get that out of him. I think that he's gonna be really good, and I think he absolutely fell into their laps at 17. And I think that he may be looked on a little bit more favorably because he was picked a little bit later and then is going to come on and perform really well. And then second up, I got Will Anderson, easy pick. And then lastly, I have Jalen Carter as an honorable nod, who I don't think is actually going to win it because he's going to be in a rotating D line. But if he bursts onto the scene, looks really good as he did in his first snap against the Ravens, I believe, in preseason. Uh, then I can kind of see it happening where he gets a little bit of hype towards it. And then I do have Brian Branch as an honorable mention as well. That's
Nice.
again, I don't think he's going to win it, but if he ends up playing some lockdown coverage, plays a lot in the slot, and gets some big money plays, I could see it happening. We'll go offensive player, then defensive player, then we'll go to MVP, unless you want to do it
Yep.
differently.
Wrap up with the biggest name.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for offensive player, uh, I have a very odd group of guys here. It normally
I
goes
like
to a
it.
running back, if not a really stellar wide receiver.
Hmm.
And I think that you could say a lot of guys' names are favorites to win it. And I think Tyreek Hill is up there. I think Jamar Chase is up there. I think Justin Jefferson's up there. I don't have any of those guys on this list. I
Interesting.
have an asterisk next to Cooper Cup, which this was a prediction before he's out
It was
week
rolled
one
out for
and
injury. Yep.
probably going to be on IR. Um, so that's the asterisk is if he's healthy, he's gonna have potential. And then I've got Debo Samuel and Garrett Wilson as my other two favorites, which are just like not big names because I didn't want to give big names. I could have said, oh, it's gonna be Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, or Jamar Chase, and
Hmm.
then I'm right because it's one of those three. But if it ends up being Garrett Wilson or Debo Samuel, I want to be able to say that I predicted it.
You know, I guess that's a fair enough assessment. I went, I guess, more cookie cutter in your eyes, where I picked Jamar Chase. The pace he won last season was really good, and I'm hoping to get a injury-free outing from him this time around. And if you want to go ahead, there's going to be a little teasers for some bingo entries I've got. I've been layering them in throughout this podcast. But uh, next up in my ranking here out of Jamar, because he was on a 12-5 team per my predictions, is Travis Kelsey winning Offensive Player of the Year.
That's very possible. That'd be very interesting.
And again, it's kind of the same knock that you had where Cooper is missing week one. We don't know if Travis is going to play tomorrow, but I had Travis in there. And the final player that I had was it was kind of up in the air. I just had a couple honorable mentions, no real like, oh, this is the third guy.
This
But
dude's
I
gonna
did
say
have Justin
Amon-Ra St.
Jefferson.
Brown.
No, I had Justin Jefferson, but there hasn't been a repeat since 2001 for Offensive Player of the Year.
Who did it
So
annoy?
that's more like Marshall
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 Falk.
Falk.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he won three in a row.
I think Jettis is
But
on that trajectory to being one of the best receivers of all time. So I think he could break that streak of not having the
yeah,
same offensive player. But
it would be that like streak breaking one, and that's why it was third for me.
mhm.
But yeah, I had a big receiving focus, no real running backs in my lineup here.
That's my issue. Is a lot of the top running backs are either too injury prone, too old, or in a contract holdout. Cough, cough. Jonathan Taylor. Um, and that's
Exactly. It would
yeah.
have
So
been
it
AT for me if it wasn't that issue.
yeah, it's such a tough thing to predict when you've got good running backs not looking like they're going to be that good. And I think honestly, like the best running back in the league could be Bijan. Like it's not I don't think he's going to be, but if he
No.
is, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I wouldn't it
Yeah.
wouldn't be the furthest stretch of the imagination to say that Bijan is going to be the best run or the highest yardage running back in the league. Um, but we'll go to the defensive players now. If you want to start
Yeah.
us
I'll,
off,
I'll start us off with that since you had started off offensive player. this was probably my most cookie cutter one.
Yeah, mine
It's
too.
Micah Parsons.
Yep.
It's massive. I He's been snubbed from it. It feels like the past two since he hit the league, and with what seems to be a move to just the end, and he's going to be pass rushing a lot more. This is the season for him to finally get it. Um, I think that no matter what, he's going to eclipse former seasons. Who knows if he eclipses everyone else in terms of sacks, but it's definitely going to be his best season to me. And if I wasn't picking him, my picks are, it was going to be Chris Jones as a little honorable mention there. He's currently holding out. It was Nick Bosa. We'll talk about that at the end of the video, but uh, he was also another honorable mention. And then just to get some corners in there, I obviously had Tariq Woolen as a very fun
Over Sauce.
chance
Interesting.
at it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Uh, my three were my three were the most cookie cutter imaginable. I had Micah, TJ, and Sauce, and I don't think that those three are anywhere outside of the top five defensive players in the league. So I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's that much of a stretch to say they could win Defensive Player of the Year. I think Micah can break the single season sack record. I don't know if he's going to, but I
Yep.
think he can. Like with
There's
the
there's a chance for it with an extra game that
and a
could,
full
yeah.
time move to D end, and he's going to be
Mm-hmm.
rushing the quarterback every single time, and he's extremely talented. So that's why I like Micah there. And then MVP, I'll lead this one off. No Patrick Mahomes. I have an honorable mention to Joe Burrow, but I don't want that to be like my top pick because like obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go out of the box on as many of these as possible, and I just don't know as many outside the box defensive players that I could throw
Mm-hmm.
in there. So I
Yeah,
was just
same.
kind of like, okay, let me just throw some names that are probably going to win it. I've got Jalen Hurts as like another one of those Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, same kind of situation where they're on really good teams that have a lot of wins. And as unfortunate as it is, MVP is a win led award. If you don't have a ton of wins, you're probably not winning MVP because somebody on a team with a ton of wins is more valuable to that team than you are because you didn't bring wins to your team. And I guess I kind of
Okay,
get it,
so
but
Lamar Jackson.
no. Um, I've got I've got a nod to the NFL stocks. I have my two guys that
Mhm.
I don't think
Yeah.
they're gonna win it. I don't think they are, but it would be really cool if they did. I've got Geno Smith and Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. Geno Smith. That's not the name. I was low key when you said non-did stocks. I was like, no way, fucking Justin Fields on a hat here. But Trevor Lawrence, yeah, okay, that's a lot closer than Justin Fields being absolutely
I
okay.
think Fields will be great. I just think he's another year away, if I'm being fully
Yeah.
honest with myself.
All right. So mine, I labeled the dark horse MVP pick. Um, he's in a conference where he's got to compete with people named Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, but this is Patrick Mahomes list. Um, I have Tua Tagovailoa
Ooh,
as my dark horse MVP pick. Um, it's a stellar offense. It's a better like Mike McDaniel is insane with just the scheme that the success he's having. I imagine only growing when they have consistent quarterback play.
I'm gonna be
And so
honest.
if
I thought
Tua's
you just
healthy,
meant like personally he was insane, but you know,
he is. I mean, he vapes, so his
yeah.
brain's rotting. Um, his But yeah, with the offense, with everything around Tua, if Tua's healthy, this is an MVP caliber player. When he's got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and the Legion of Zoom surrounding him, along with a great defense, which will make sure he gets those wins that are necessary for MVP. So I
I could
had
definitely
him
see
as
it.
my MVP pick.
I could see it. Any others you had on the list or just Tua?
Uh, well, Tua, my second was Joe Burrow, and
Yeah,
my third was Justin Herbert.
yeah. And any of these guys that are like the top QBs of the AFC, I can see any of them winning it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a really like dark horse candidate that would that has a shot at it. And it's not dark horse because he's not great. It's dark horse because of his position. And I could definitely see Justin Jefferson. If he went for 2K, I could see him winning the
Yeah,
award. If he went for
not even two.
2000,
I mean, Cooper Cup didn't like hit that, and he was basically their triple crown winner. So I think it would need to be 2K along with like 1 ETDs,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then they're like, let's give it to him.
yeah. That
All
is
right.
going to be the end of this. I see you have moved to the bingo sheet. We
Almost there.
will be revealing them to each other one by one, but I think we should go all of my card and then all of your card because when we alternate, it just takes a really long time. So,
I suppose. So do you want to just you want to just select your whole card, make
um,
turn them black, and talk about them one
yeah,
by
and then
one?
I'll run through them one by one real quick. We'll do that.
Yeah.
So, that's bold, not black. Okay. So if you're watching, it's gonna happen in three, two, one. And read that top left one and remember what you said
All
about those
right.
Ravens wide receivers.
Ravens wide receivers suffer season-ending injury within first 12 weeks.
That is my prediction. My first. Okay, disclaimer. I don't. We didn't really introduce the bingo segment. We have made these bingo cards. We didn't want to do many freebies. We kind of talked about it last episode 0, where we didn't want to do many freebies. We just kind of wanted to have an interesting, fun little card. And so I just kind of went like a little bit insane. Like especially towards the end, I ran out of steam and I didn't know what I was really saying. And so so I just thought
Yeah.
that would be fun. My first prediction
All
that I
right.
made, I made them left to right, like top to bottom. So that was the first thing that I wrote was
All
Ravens wide
right.
receiver suffers season-ending injury within the first 12 weeks.
So let's run through these then. So someone has a 100 by 100 game, 100 rushing, 100 receiving. Cordero Patterson has his name written all over that,
Christian
or
McCaffrey as well.
Justin Jefferson, or Debo. Debo, I
Debo.
mean,
I
or
do not
Debo.
see Justin Jefferson doing 100
No,
rushing.
I said it and I was like, he needs rushing. That's
Yeah.
idiocracy. But
And then
yeah,
I've got a very
um,
interesting one that I don't really think is going to happen, but I've got Trey Lance throwing more than 100 passes for the first time in his career in a season. And
I
then
mean, with Dak, probably, to be honest. It'll
uh,
happen in 2 games too with fucking Mike McCarthy calling plays.
and then I've got the single season passing yards record getting broken. That was at 554 is the single game passing yard record. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
scoring 50 fantasy points in one game, ideally on my team if we end up having a fantasy league.
Damn.
Matt. Um,
If we fucking get a draft done, yeah.
DTR throwing 100 passes, an 8 game winning streak for a non undefeated team, which means that a team that has a loss on their
Nice.
record then goes on an 8 game streak of winning. Jonathan Taylor not suiting up for the Colts is almost a gimme, and I feel bad for putting it right above the free slot spot. Um, but yeah, and then Michael Thomas playing in 4 straight games, I feel like is pretty unlikely. So that's a nice one to have. And then Justin
Oh yeah,
Jefferson
you just have to put
five
it right next to JT.
Justin Jefferson having 5 straight weeks with 100 plus yards receiving. His current longest streak is 3. So that would be,
His current.
yes, his current. In his entire career, his longest streak of 100 plus yard games receiving is 3. And that is receiving. So if he gets like 90 receiving yards and takes a carry for 15, that doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
A playoff berth is clinched by week 11. I actually don't know how inaccurate or impossible that is. But I feel like it would have to be a team going 11-0.
Mm-hmm.
I have six QBs.
Mathematically, that seems like it.
I have 6 QBs throwing for over 4,500 yards. Only 4 did it last year. I have 2 teams going worst to first in their division. So that would be the team that was the worst in their division going to the best in their division. And I could see it happening with the Bears, and I could see it
Bears.
happening with
Yep.
one of the NFC South teams as well, just because that
Yeah.
division's so up for grabs. I have no running back going for over 1,500 yards this season. And it's
I
back to
think
that
folks
freaking
see.
running back thing. Baker Mayfield throwing for more interceptions than touchdowns. Cardinals going on a 2 game win streak.
Oh, per your predictions.
And then Geno Smith going higher in the yardage ranks this year than last year. So it doesn't mean he has to throw for more yards, just has to be higher in the rankings. Last year he was 8th, so that would mean he has to be top 7 in the league throwing the ball. Someone getting 20 receiving touchdowns, that would be part of that Justin Jefferson MVP case. Last year, Devontae
Mm-hmm.
led the league with 14, so that would be a considerable jump up. The single season receiving yards record getting broken, another thing that would kind of combine
Again,
with Justin
not the
Jefferson.
MVP. Yeah.
QB throwing 6 interceptions in a game for the first time since 2016. Shout out Ryan Fitzpatrick from Harvard. All AFC teams that made the playoffs last year do it again this season. which would be the Jaguars, the
Ooh,
Chargers, the
nice.
Bengals, the Ravens, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs. And I think those are the top 7 teams in the AFC. No NFC team keeps the same seeding from last year's. That doesn't mean that they can't make the
Mm,
playoffs. It's just that the Eagles can't be the 1 seed, the 49ers can't be the 2 seed, the Vikings can't be the 3, and so on.
that's an
Eli Apple,
intricate one.
Eli Apple gets embarrassed by week 5. I've got that as a pretty easy lock, so I put it in a bad position
Hmm.
on the board. And then I've got
Nice,
Mac
nice.
Jones, shout out Patriots. Mac Jones throwing for over 4,000 yards and under 8 interceptions. Last year, he had 2,900 passing yards and 11 interceptions. 11 interceptions was lower than his rookie total of 13. So we would have to cut back on those interceptions and ramp up them yards in order for that to hit.
All right. That was a fun bingo sheet. I feel like mine won't live up to that.
Damn.
I feel a little pressure now. And it's a little rough here, but mine are a lot of player focused.
Yeah,
So
I
while
can see that.
you specified someone for most, I specified a player. So starting off, we have Tyree Wilson having over 11 sack year. That would be like top 10 for a rookie performance in terms of sacks. Next up is Trevor Lawrence, 1,400 or 4,500 yard season minimum. I put a little plus sign for that.
He's got a single game high of 300 rushing yards being achieved.
The first time in NFL history it would be received. I also have a kind of obscure one, but the top tight end in the league is Dallas Goddard. This one isn't even something I like believe in. I was like, this one is an interesting one that if it hits, it's gonna seem like I'm a shaman. This one was a Kendall pick. A dog will run across the field during a game's broadcast.
That's amazing.
That's my wife. She tossed me one in there. I have Matthew Stafford learns to reconnect with his teammates, and that is to the tune of a another common number is over 4,500 yards. This next one, I think you can talk about.
Yeah, 2 quarterbacks running for over 1,000 yards. I don't know who were the
Okay.
last couple to do it, but I think that Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, and Lamar Jackson all have a
Yep.
shot to do it.
Those are the three, and I would need two of those to do it.
And I
But
don't know if one of them will do it, if I'm being
yeah,
entirely honest. Lamar with
yeah.
his
But
increased receiving core, Justin Fields with his increased receiving core. So it would take some. It would take some doing, but I could see it.
yeah, it's definitely one of my reaches there. But I have another interesting one. It doesn't correlate with any of my predictions. The Panthers missed the playoffs due to a Week 18 loss. So it's the win and you're in, and they lose.
Okay.
Um, Next up, another Kendall pick is Baker Mayfield gets injured in Week
Now,
3.
okay, are we talking injured or are we talking injured?
Well, we're talking someone like stabs the needle in his back. So saying a different quarterback because they're tired of
Interceptions.
seeing
I
that
think
happen.
so. I think that if even if that does happen, that the my
He
prediction
still
about him is
throws more
correct. He still
interceptions.
throws more
Yeah,
picks than touchdowns.
I'd say that's pretty fair. A hot one I don't agree with, but it's just it would be wild. Seahawks missing the playoffs. Next up, this was the one I was like, hey, give me some teams. You said Panthers. DJ Chark over 1,000 yards would be a pretty big jump. And
I
with
could see
the
it though.
fact if he was be healthy, it would definitely be possible.
Yeah, it's definitely
The
possible. He's going to be a starting receiver on an offense led by a quarterback who knows how to throw the ball, and that's.
and he's definitely going to be one of the top deep threat options on the team. So if he gets a big chunk play, that really helps add to the 1,000 yards.
Exactly.
My next prediction here, AFC East. Wait, were you going to keep talking about DJ?
No, no, no. I'm pulling up. Actually, I'm curious. He has gone for over 1,000 yards 1 time in his career. In
Mm-hmm.
2019 with Jacksonville, he went to the Pro Bowl. He had 1,008 receiving yards.
Mm-hmm. It's a real fringe one. I looked at the stats too. Uh, Moving on, AFC West or AFC East. Sorry, the AFC East has three playoff teams. That was in my predictions. So I have
The Patriots
that
missing.
matching
Fuck
mine.
you.
Uh, Next up, I have Will Levis in 3 games for the Titans. Exactly 3. He can't get benched any point. He has to start 3 games.
Start
That's
3
week
full
4.
games. Are we talking injuries? Are we talking like? Do you
That is
think?
starts. That is Entering the game, he is QB1. So
Okay.
that's if Tannehill gets injured, he's only injured for 3 weeks, and Tannehill's back. That's what happens.
Terry McLaurin will have 10 or more touchdowns. I'm assuming last season's total was 7.
Yes, his previous best was
Oh,
7
his previous
touchdowns.
best. Damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was as a rookie.
Damn. That's unfortunate.
White. Next up, Lions get a playoff win.
Not gonna happen. Sorry,
This is
buddy.
this is my gimme. Give it to me, please.
No. God no.
Next, another oddly specific one. Anthony Richardson is third in interceptions in the league. I had made comments that he might tie Peyton Manning's record. Then I looked at Peyton Manning and I was like, holy fuck, I hope he doesn't throw that many picks.
It was like in the
So I went
20s, right?
third most. 23.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 28. But I thought it was like 17.
By
And
the
I was like,
time
oh, yeah,
by
let's
the
see.
time he hits 15, Gardner Minshew will be starting.
Mhm.
I'm just kidding. I'm completely joking. God, I love Gardner though.
My
Good,
gimme,
great guy.
my gimme in the center row. Yours was Jonathan Taylor. Mine's is Cardinals having the #1 draft pick.
Valid.
And this one's going to be real difficult to achieve. It's similar to the status you had, where 6 quarterbacks throw for over 4,500. 2 quarterbacks throw for over 4,500, but also 43 touchdowns.
That's
Um,
a fuck ton of
Last
touchdowns.
season, the only qualifier for this is Mahomes. And Mahomes stats 2022.
And this year it's gonna be not Christian Kirk, Kirk Cousins. That's who I was going for. I'm leaving that in. And he froze. I'm leaving this in too.
Sorry, you froze. I'm frozen. One of us is frozen. I'm waiting for it to unfreeze. Are we unfrozen?
Yeah, we're unfrozen. You're gonna love the monologue I had during the frozen.
Right. All right. But yeah, 2 quarterbacks will throw for over those stat lines. Mahomes didn't even get 43 touchdowns last season.
Damn.
And that's throwing. This is passing only. So that would be 2 very, very good seasons for quarterbacks. Jordan Addison is the best rookie wide receiver and is top 16 in the league. This would be kind of akin to like Chris Olave in terms of like overall production last season, where he was definitely top 16 in the league, wide receiver,
What
stat wise.
stat are we like yards?
Stat wise is yards, yeah.
Okay.
Just throw that in there. The Commanders winning their division under Sam Howell.
Man, even you
Again,
don't believe that.
Something super outlandish. I was like, I got to think of some real hard to get ones, and I think that one was it. And another oddly specific one, injury related. Derrick Henry injured for 7 games. Exactly.
Damn, it's got to hit exactly. Man,
Exactly.
you are not getting
I mean,
a bingo. I am sorry.
I'm not getting nothing. I'm honestly at this point I'm counting points to see how many I get right at all.
Honestly,
I think
okay.
it's 0.
I'll by the end of by the end of your card, I'll have a point system thought out.
Chris Olave, top 10 wide receiver for yards. Again, that's kind of like Derek Carr, hype, woo. They still suck. But my next up was Gronk's tight end record is broken. Now, that could be hand in hand with Dallas Goedert getting me bingo through that row. You know, hey, maybe Will Levis does get those 3 starts. And the other outlandish shit that I have in that column also happens. But maybe that's what happens.
For 1,000 yards.
Maybe Travis Kelce, you know, he gets that Offensive Player of the Year by breaking the touchdown record.
That's what I was thinking when you said that. I was like, oh, Travis.
And our only one that was at all similar is that the single game passing yard record is broken.
We just had a little bit of a different wording. And for points, I'm thinking we keep it simple since it's football. Each individual is 1 point and a full row is 7.
Sounds
like
good.
A touchdown.
That's
that's
like you. Thank goodness you explained that to me.
Wow. Just making sure. And then we can decide. Do you want it to be like each individual row is just 7, or each individual row is the 5 for each point or for each square, and then an additional 7 because it was a full row? I'm thinking it's an additional 7.
Additional 7 for sure.
Okay, cool.
And looking at the difficulty of my chart versus yours, I might have to throw in some swap some words out for the word someone. Maybe increase my chances at some of these.
I feel like all the ones that I had someone in were kind of outlandish. Like someone getting 20 receiving touchdowns in a season.
Valid enough, yeah.
Yeah, nobody hit 15 last year. So, but yeah, this has been NFL Bingo. I'll probably have our cards up right above us for the entire segment, um, and it'll just you'll be able to read them for the whole time. So, won't be won't be something you need to stick around the whole segment for if you don't want to. But next up, we're gonna go into our little injuries and news segment. I don't really have anything particular, just a little bit of Travis Kelsey's questionable. Cooper Cup is out, maybe landing on IR, and then everything else. I mean, I don't. I know you sent me the Ari tweet, but
Yep.
yeah,
There's
JSN
there's not
active.
much yet because obviously it's before any weeks. There's no injuries already that we're like, oh, are they going to make it for the game? Games are kind of far away, other than the Chiefs and you know opener game. So it's kind of hard because so much news can happen between now and Sunday to even like say, oh, they're going to start or oh, they're out. So we have very few people that we know for sure are out. Um, One thing I want to talk about is just some stuff I had sent you through the old Twitter DM. Uh, there is a tweet, and I'm sure we can probably link it in the description. But the tweet of quarterbacks by age,
It's such a
and
mind fuck about Kenny Pickett being 25,
mm-hmm,
and it's not even like 25 is old. It's like, damn, he's the same age as Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts.
yeah, it's not in the same realm
No, it's
and
not. And all these,
development wise.
I mean, shout out Pickensburg on Twitter, but man, all these guys hyping up Kenny Pickett, and I'm like, you got a Stetson Bennett out there, like,
Yeah.
um,
So just going through the other rows, we got Aaron Rodgers, Stafford, Tannehill, Cousins, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Geno Smith, and Jimmy G in the top row, top ages. That is almost like the group of mid. Like, yeah, you got Rodgers, you got Stafford, Cousins is pretty good, but everyone like if you were to look at all of the rows and look at their groups, I would name top row mid. I would name the bottom row like
potential.
unseen. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just potential. Like Trevor Lawrence obviously stands out. There's Purdy and all of the rookies. And then you go up to the next row and it's like, okay, here's some of like top young talent. But to me, the second row from the top is like the elite category
he's glazing
because
because Jared Goff's in that row. You got to tick it down a notch, bro. Baker Mayfield's right next to him.
okay, Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Dak
Dak,
Prescott.
come on,
Those are my least in the row.
Deshaun,
But you
don't.
got Mahomes, you got Lamar, you got Josh Allen, you got Jared Goff.
Okay, so you got three All-Star quarterbacks,
Oh,
and then you've got trash Baker Mayfield. You've got trash Jared. I'm just kidding. Uh, you've got mediocre Daniel Jones. You've got mediocre Dak Prescott. He's statistically fine, whatever. Mediocre Deshaun Watson, and you know
and Frisky,
a
wrong name, wrong name.
a good Jared Goff. I'll say he's good. I won't say he's not on the same tier as Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. He's just not. Um, and resident
So
Lions fan, I think you can agree with me that he is not in the same tier as those three. It hurts you.
I
I know. Turn your
so
bias down a little bit.
okay, but compare it to the row right beneath, the only row in contention:
Joey B, Justin
Herbert,
Herbert, Jalen
Herbert,
Hurts, Justin Fields.
Jalen Hurts. Okay,
I mean, yeah,
I,
Fields I think is not in the same tier
it's
as
fringe
Mahomes
there. Yeah.
and I think I also think that the Mahomes, Lamar, and Josh tier is
Allen.
higher than the tier from the row beneath it. But
Hmm.
I feel like Kyler Murray is good when healthy.
Okay, I'll take you on that. I'll take you on the top three from row two are better than the top three from row three.
But
but Baker
overall,
Mayfield blocks the entire row too.
not just Baker Mayfield, but I think just overall talent is better in row three. You don't have that bottom tier. Like the bottom
Hmm.
tier in the row is Kenny Pickett, it's Mac Jones, which are both guys that give them a year
We
and they
don't
could be
really see
great.
much.
You know,
Yeah.
like we've seen good, we've seen bad, and you just don't know what you're going to get from them. So
You
I
know,
think that,
I kind of have a hot take here.
yeah, Kenny
Hot take
Pickett
to
better than
throw
Mac
in.
Jones.
No, I've never liked Kyler Murray
I had him on my
through
fantasy
any
team,
year
so I
of
had
his
to.
career.
I think for as far as like news and injuries goes, I think that's just about all we have, and we're nearing the hour and a half mark of recording,
Hmm.
which is somewhere I want
Yes,
to
we will
avoid.
be able to
But
cut a decent part down,
um,
to be fair.
yeah, and then in the future, I think this is probably going to be our longest episode, just because we had to go through that full season
Hmm.
prediction, and even though we didn't think it was going to take a
Yes.
while, it was going one by one instead of going all and then nothing. But to compare, that was necessary. So for week one, I'm going to start it off. I have had the Lions beating the Chiefs since we started this. It was the first game that I predicted because it's the first game of the season. I did this in early August and I said the Lions were going to beat the Chiefs. And my reasoning at the time was because the Chiefs players and former Chiefs players are talking so highly of Eric Bieniemy as he's going to the Commanders, and there's such a culture shock of Bieniemy and the Commanders because the Commanders have sucked and had no good role models for so long.
He's too intense.
But yeah, that's like what I'm saying is if they're losing out on such an important coach and an important coordinator, like not even like not this is all before the Chris Jones holdout, before the Travis Kelsey injury, before any of that. And I was still like the Lions might take this and I think that they will. But now more than ever, I definitely think the Lions are going to take it. And obviously, Mahomes' week one passing yards is a thing of beauty. I saw a tweet about that earlier today. Um,
Hmm.
while you talk about that, I want to find the tweet. So if you want to take away the Lions
Yeah, I'll
Chiefs.
jump on. The Lions have built so much momentum through the end of last season. The win over the Packers being their only primetime appearance in Week 18, and that was after they shifted it to be that way. And so when they hit primetime again, they're in Arrowhead. It's going to be tough, but Lions faithful right here. Uh, I'm gonna honorable Lions faithful, and from him based on the record he gave us. Uh, I'm also going to be giving the Lions this win here.
Yeah. Mahomes' week one starts in the past. I'm just going to read them out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
360 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. 256 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He has never thrown a week one interception. He has never thrown below 3 touchdowns in week one. He has never thrown below 200 yards in week one. But I think
And
that
to
the
make it
Lions are
more
still going to beat him.
impressive, the Andy Reid era of Chief 9-1 in opening games.
And I think they go 9-2. This is a game that I could legitimately see going either way. So if the
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs take this one, I wouldn't be shocked. Next up,
Yeah.
Panthers Falcons. I think this is a genuine toss up. I think that realistically, Bryce Young is going to have some growing pains, and it probably goes to the Falcons. But I have the Panthers in this one.
Okay, interesting. So I had the Falcons here just because suddenly having some issues with Ike Mekwani being able to block on that side. And I think when you get his struggle in with Bryce Young now taking live snaps with people barreling at him full speed to try to murder him, it might phase him early on. So I have the Falcons there, and we will see how that goes.
I think the next
Next
one's
up,
a pretty big gimme. I've got the Ravens over the Texans.
yep. Next one's pretty easy. It's going to be Ravens over the Texans. And then moving on from that, Bengals over Browns. We know how I think about the Browns. We know how he thinks about the Browns. Nonetheless, divisional game. It's going to be tight. I'm still leaning Bengals.
I'm leaning Bengals. This is one that I could see going either way, kind of, because Deshaun knows he needs to
Prove it.
perform and prove that that trade was worth it in any capacity. And also, it's in Cleveland, so they've got that going for
Mm-hmm.
him. Nick Chubb, freshest legs he'll have all season, so who knows? But I've still got the Bengals, and then we get to Jags Colts, another divisional matchup. Y'all know how I feel about the Jags. I don't have them losing the home opener or the
Yeah.
away. I don't have them losing this game.
Yeah.
So I've got them beating the Colts in some Anthony Richardson growing pains.
Yeah. I think on it, if I want to make a bold prediction specifically, Anthony Richardson, a fumble and an interception in the game.
That's
Jaguars win.
that's generous. Not more
The
than one interception.
It's a fumble. I think it's going to be a botched snap over, not over his head, but
To his
like
left
it's not a
side.
rushing. Oh, I was thinking right, but
Oh, okay.
we'll
Well,
see.
either side we're
We
good
got that
because one
wager
of
going.
us, yeah.
All right. Next up, Buccaneers versus Vikings. We had them winning 3 games. I think it's safe to say the
Vikings taking
Vikings
this
walk
one.
away with this one.
Justin Jefferson
Uh,
goes for 200 yards in the home opener. Bold prediction.
nice.
There's my bold prediction for this week. I mean, other than of course the Lions beating the Chiefs, but
Mm, yeah, hot take.
bold prediction. Patrick
Me,
Mahomes throws his
me
first interception in an opening week. There you go. There's another one for you. I'm full of them. I can keep spitting them if you want. Titans
Just chock
Saints.
full of them.
Titans Saints. I think the Saints win it. I could see Derrick Henry
Yes,
going kind of crazy and taking over, but I think the Saints are going to ultimately win. Um,
agreed.
49ers Steelers. Another one that could
Nick
go either
Bosa
way.
is fueled by his new contract, which we failed to mention during the news segment.
Oh, yeah, we
But
did. Nick Bosa just got paid a shit ton of money.
yep, 34 mil a year, 5 years. But yeah, he's fueled up from that, and he's going to go ahead and take them to a victory. 49ers or Steelers.
I do have the 49ers as well, but I could also see the Steelers. I don't hate them this year, so I could see them taking it, and I wouldn't be shocked. And then Cardinals Commanders, I have my 2-game win streak of the Cardinals starting mid-season and then never having them win another game. So I got Commanders there. I got a Sam Howell
Commanders as well.
masterclass. Packers Bears.
Yeah, this is. I have a very win-heavy home lineup here, with the Bears taking this one.
Yeah. This is a historic matchup, more historic than Patriots Jets, more historic than anything else. It is the matchup, and I think the Bears just make a statement in this one. I think Justin Fields goes out there and knows that he has to win it, and then he does, and then the rest of the season is whatever. He beat the Packers in week 1. Raiders Broncos. Raiders Broncos is where we are next.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about the Raiders, so I've got the Broncos winning this one.
I've also got the Broncos winning this one. I think Sean Payton is gonna really have something dialed up week 1 against the Raiders here. Next up is Dolphins Chargers, and this one is gonna be an elite game.
I was
For
going to
me,
say, I think this is the first one we're going to disagree on. I don't know where your pick is, but I just feel like it's not my pick.
This one's a good one, and I have the Dolphins winning it.
I have the Dolphins winning as well. Okay, so we have not disagreed on anything so far.
Yes.
Um,
So far,
I think I don't.
we disagreed Panthers Falcons.
Oh, right. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers won. This is another one of those toss-ups that could go either way. Eagles Patriots. Eagles are going to go into New England and clap us, and I am saying that as a Patriots fan and trying to hold a straight face when I know how badly we're going to get clapped by the Eagles.
Nice. Safe for me to agree then.
Yeah.
Super Bowl team
Against
the Patriots.
former Super Bowl team. Former. We got a lot of them in the past. Rams Seahawks. It's no secret that I'm high on the Seahawks. I got them taking the Rams here at home.
Yeah, Seahawks at home is the main thing driving them there.
Stetson Bennett's not going to be able to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Giants Cowboys. I've got Giants taking this one at home. This is one of their very few wins for me. So
No, home opener. Get those expectations high early. Why don't you?
Yeah.
I do not. I have the
Okay.
Cowboys winning that.
I could see it going either way. I could see Daniel Jones getting sacked 7 times and Micah being on pace for the greatest season of all time.
I can't wait for everything we pick to be wrong. Continue.
Didn't Chandler Jones start off a season with 5 sacks one time, and everybody was like, if he keeps this pace up? It's like, bud, it was a week, all right? 5 sacks is a ton, but he ain't doing that all year. I think he ended that season with 7 sacks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he had 7 at the end of it.
Yeah, Bills Jets.
Right.
I've got the Bills walking into New York and just destroying them.
Yeah, on Monday Night Football, Bills destroyed the Rams last year to open up the season on Thursday Night Football. I don't have that happening. I think Aaron Rodgers, with all this new Hard Knocks fame, is really playing to prove something, and the Jets are going to be able to win a game because their defense is stellar. And last season we saw Josh Allen get a little muddy, so we will see if that continues into the season. But I have the Jets winning.
Well, real quick, we'll do lock of the week. It's not something we had planned on doing, but I'm going to go ahead and take the easy Ravens over Texans as my lock of the week.
That's fun. Um, Looking at the games, I think easiest lock of the week for me is Jaguars over Colts.
That's also a good
So
one.
that will be mine this week. Yes.
I think that is going to just about do it. I don't think we really have anything else we got to talk about. We're
I'm
running
gonna
way over on time. This is going to be a hell of a thing to edit and have out by
edit.
tomorrow, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. We'll see what I can do.
Doing it 2.6 times speed.
Um,
Works well.
yeah, thank you all for watching. Tune back in next week around the same time. It'll be either Wednesday or Thursday that we're uploading these. Probably going to be Thursday morning type thing before
Mm-hmm.
the Thursday night matchup of the week.
Yep.
Um, and yeah,
As usual, all links in the description. Leave us a comment. Tell us that you hate all of our picks and that we're stupid and dumb and stop
we
everything
could
we're
take it.
doing always. And yeah, we're gonna just go ahead, wrap up here. Catch us in a week when we react to all of our failed predictions and give y'all our latest on news and the next week's predictions.
Let us know any of the full season records that you just strongly disagree with. Any of the Ward's predictions, drop those down in the comments, as well as your lock of the week. So take part in that one. And then, like you said, links in the description. Follow us on Twitter at FTP Anderson, at FTP Jaw, and at Tagged Franchise, and join up on the Discord. But that's probably going to be just about it. Y'all take it easy.
Yeah, deuces.